Another COVID-19 variant, another headache. What is the global economic effect of this new COVID-19 variant, Omicron? Are the governmental measures taken in various countries too extreme? How dangerous do experts say this new variant actually is? Stay tuned to get all the answers. Welcome to the World Econ News. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and hit the notification button to get updates and information about the latest international economic news items. On November the 24th, 2021, a new variant of COVID-19 called Omicron was discovered by researchers in the state of South Africa. The media immediately rushed to announce the source of the new variant in South Africa without providing any evidence. As a result, South Africa was struck with a global travel ban. Later, a wide range of experts announced that South Africa was not the source of Omicron, but rather the first to discover its existence. Of course, South Africa has the technology for finding such mutations in COVID-19, but it also has a sense of responsibility and it cares, so it decided to report it. The world panicked. World governments began to scramble and all hell broke loose as if COVID-19 never existed before. The markets crashed, oil prices took a steep dive, even cryptocurrencies headed for a dip, and it is still struggling to recuperate. As for the media, it told the world, panic, panic, panic. This new variant is deadly and fast to spread. Of course, they didn't have any evidence. And unfortunately, everyone was waiting for a European or North American to come out and clarify how dangerous or not the new variant was. One must wonder why the World Health Organization and the media did not ask the South African scientists who discovered Omicron and were already dealing with it about their opinion and findings. The crisis was brewing. Governments have begun to bite their nails and investors began to chew on their fingertips. All this was happening despite the fact that the South African doctor who discovered the new variant and the South African nation itself had something important to say, but no one was listening. So what did they have to say? Well, first, Dr. Angelique Coetzee, the South African doctor who first alerted authorities to the presence of the new COVID-19 variant, described the symptoms of Omicron as both very, very mild compared with those of the Delta variant. It spreads faster, but is also different. Second, the South African authorities announced that COVID-19 cases in the province of Gauteng are doubling every day, and 75% of infections are due to Omicron. There is also a week-over-week increase in hospital admissions. But they also emphasized that so far there has not been an increase in deaths or even hospitalized people who require oxygen. Unfortunately, no one was listening, which caused fear, panic, and confusion to take over, while the global economy rattled and fumed. Look, no one is saying that a new variant of COVID-19 should be ignored or underestimated. It's not a joking matter. That being said, it's also important to note that wild, baseless speculations on such a serious matter are just as dangerous as the virus itself. Nevertheless, the speculations within the realm of politics and economics grew and spread widely. The effects on the global economy and financial markets were immediate and devastating. Even before this latest variant was discovered, the fourth wave of infections transformed Europe into a COVID-19 hotspot and prompted new restrictions like lockdowns in the Netherlands and Austria. In a nutshell, there was no need for panic and return to extreme countermeasures, but it happened anyway. Please allow me now to give you some good news. So far, the Omicron variant seems no worse than the Delta variant in how sick people become. In fact, some experts believe that Omicron is a good signal because it points that COVID-19 and its new variants are becoming less and less lethal. They cited that viruses in the past have evolved to be milder because killing the host does not help the virus spread. This announcement represents a clear signal to the world governments and businesses that the crisis is almost over and there is no need for new lockdowns, more borrowing, fear, nor any sort of panic in the markets. It's worth mentioning here that despite the initial panic in the financial markets, things are beginning to return to normal. Investors are not running to inflation-safe havens. Governments are reducing money printing and aid packages. Travel restrictions are easing, while the focus is being concentrated on the unvaccinated and increasing preventative measures during the holidays. Finally, some good news, and I want to give you more. A recent report by the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development showed that despite the uneven growth, the world economy this year bounced back more quickly and strongly than had been anticipated. The report also emphasized that we should be cautiously optimistic. Experts collectively agree investors and corporations should not expect any sort of response similar to the one implemented during earlier outbreaks. There will be no trillions in government assistance to enrich the economies, nor increased social spending. The governments also hinted that interest rates will not be lowered and there will be no more racking of debt. However, despite the expectations of lower inflation, the U.S. Federal Reserve Chair indicated that concern about stubborn inflation was growing and could last longer than expected. Some experts explained these comments are nothing new, and a repeat of what they were saying before the new variant appeared. There is something rather strange going on these days in the financial sector. Now, before I dive into it and begin explaining this strange phenomenon, I have to ask you to bear with me and not judge. I mean, after all, there is nothing positive about COVID-19, and it's a very serious issue. So, are you ready? Here it is. Some business leaders and investors are actually optimistic from the facts about Omicron. They even believe that all business leaders and corporations should consider the upside potential of Omicron. Oh boy, I cannot believe I just said that. Now you're wondering what on earth are they thinking? Well, they're thinking of the facts which I've already stated earlier about the new variant and how it's not all that dangerous in comparison to its predecessor, the Delta variant. They're also excited about how the virus is evolving to not kill the host, as scientists said. And last but not least, the fact that existing vaccines are effective and there are more people getting vaccinated. This fact probably explains why the markets recovered quickly and there are no new problems in the demand-supply chain. While most governments are not issuing any bonds nor printing more money, actually experts are speculating that rich nations are preparing to begin buying back their bonds as early as February of next year. Please don't assume that the economy has not been and will not be completely affected by Omicron. The fear factor has already caused some substantial damage. Yes, you could say that the recovery from damage was fast, but there are some sectors that are bound to experience lower revenues in the near future. For example, the airline businesses and retailers already lowered their expectations for the holiday season. Of course, Christmas was not cancelled, but the fear factor and some of the new restrictions are not helping. As for investors and corporations, they have become more resilient in the face of COVID-19. Most businesses have ready and in place plans designed to deal with new negative developments, such as Omicron. The only unpredictable behavior in the current situation is the government's behavior. Why? Because there is politics. Politicians are unpredictable people. Their interest in serving their party's interests and securing elections are their number one priority. This priority sometimes is reckless and uncaring about the long-term economic effects because, after all, they might only be in power for a few months or a few years at most. It's quite difficult to predict the possible effects of Omicron on the global economy, financial markets, and investors' behavior. There are far too many variables and probabilities at play, but most experts agree that the global economy is well on its way to achieve full recovery even if the inflation rates remain higher than the desirable rate. So stay positive, take preventative measures, and please do me a favor and tell fear to buzz off. Click on one of the videos that show up now if you want to learn more about relevant international economic topics, or hit the subscribe button or bell icon to stay updated and notified when new videos are online. That's it. Farewell, be cool, stay freaking positive, and see you in the next video.